Recorded November 4th, 2024. Good afternoon, Brody. Good afternoon, Ray. Good afternoon, Rod. How's everyone doing?
Not bad.
And everybody answer at once. Yeah, I'm doing good. Brody, how are you?
Not bad.
Ray,
I have a colleague, and he's like, Canadians always say not bad, and I'm now playing it up that I'm answering not bad.
not bad. So what kind of answer is that actually? Not bad. That's non-committal on
very measured,
so many levels.
Measured response. You know, you don't want to be on either side of the spectrum. You want to live in balance.
Not bad.
That's why I'm super excited for this week. It's a week of balance on this continent. Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Rod has a vote under his name.
Yeah,
and I have a nervous neighbor
go
under my name.
Gotcha. Okay, I was concerned. Like I was thinking of Ned Flanders, Homer Simpson. Like here, I was like, what is happening in Canada?
We're all tuning in to the news, eating ketchup chips, nerviously laughing.
Ketchup chips. You see Rod's tag is distinctly polar opposite of mine. I feel as though my hands are tied.
I don't know why mine is Ray's parlor. I just want everybody to be super clear on that. That's not any. I didn't realize that somebody could just make an executive decision and be a creative director. But that's good. Good. It's good. One day I'll have a parlor and people to entertain in said parlor.
Hey, lots of jokes there.
Yeah.
You have a parlor, a den, T-shack,
dungeon,
whatever.
Okay.
Man cave.
I would love a man cave.
You know what? I used the word in the car yesterday. I used the word brothel.
Why would you do, Rod? You literally bring up the most interesting topics that are
in my 15-year-old daughter. She's homeschooled, so she's smarter than the normal kid. She knew what it was. She knew what it meant, and I was super happy that she knew what that old word meant. Brothel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why parlor makes me think of brothel, but it just.
I don't know why.
Parlor is the waiting room.
Or the brothel.
Take a ticket. Someone will be with you shortly. Hey, let's get started here before the show totally goes down the wrong path.
I feel like we're there. I feel like we are there.
Sure, so we can pull it back.
I'll go first. Interesting email that came out. They came from Microsoft Threat Intelligence, and it was reposted by one of the guys over there. It's a little bit. Well, is it ever dated? It talks about Midnight Blizzard being up to their nuances again, and Microsoft Threat Intel blog. I'll give this over to Rod to put in the show notes. But Midnight Blizzard is, doing the same tactics, but adding a few more of the little nuances to it because they're using RDP files that are being misrepresented as other files. And if you know how to manipulate RDP, you can actually run a PS session. Well, I'm sorry, totally different thing. You negate the reason to use RDP if you start using PowerShell for your remote connections, but you can actually have a RDP session run and the user not know. So you're starting to get these files where people are double clicking on it, and now it's running whatever method of attack vector to open up an RDP session. And no, you're not going to see your mouse move, and no, you're not going to see these things that may indicate yes or no. I think this is probably going to be more targeted for non-enterprise type accounts that fall prey to it, because I could see very quickly how this would be picked up by any enterprise that's using any modern EDR for stuff coming back. However, it's the big picture. We're getting ready to get into prime hacking season. Why? Yes. It's November. Why?
Well, number one, I would say election season, but also more people will be off from work, checking personal email and clicking on nefarious things.
No, that was number 4.
Oh,
number 3 would be the consumer. America can't wait because I'm seeing Christmas trees and lights already out. So you're ready to do that, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing is, for the majority of the country, this is the cycle where you sign up for your company benefits. So you're starting to see the fake links. Sign up for your this, sign up for your FSA, HSA, and you see these things. I got quite a few that come in. So that's a known day. Like, this is the best time to do these things, like Amazon Prime Day. But when you look at it, who are they targeting? government agencies, higher education, defense, and non-government organizations. Well, that sort of goes contradictory to what I thought. But then when I thought about it, yeah, all of these, they're getting ready to sign up for benefits, new elections, stuff, benefit elections. Has Microsoft been targeted by this campaign? Of course not. The TI is there for whatever reason, various reasons why we're looking for this type of stuff. And what systems are being affected. So remote desktop is still the mainstay of a lot of administrators' daily toolkits and everything. It has to be used properly if it's just random in your environment, and you, especially if you're just letting non-admins be able to do it or non-critical machines be able to run RDP, you're asking for it. I guess last week, Samantha sort of said the same thing. Don't do that. And we should start using, more robust and loggable. We log PowerShell activity, but very rarely do we log RDP sessions. So I'll put this in the show notes, and then I'll send over the logging stuff that I learned from that 508 course to talk about what are the effective logs to log RDP activity. Because if you don't know what to look for, it looks totally foreign. When you look at logs, it's actually flipped. The system that's being represented is the system it's connecting from. And if you knew that that's the adversary, not the target machine. So I'll do that. And that's all I have for today. I'll get this over to you, Rod, for the show notes.
Okay.
What about you, Brody? Mr. Special man, so special. Did you say you had a special project you're taking on?
Special. Sorry, you broke up there. They're all special. All my customers are special. What am I working on? I'm swamped. I'm definitely working on my own backlog. Yeah, it's good. I am working on working with an organization to help define their security standards for Azure Purview and Azure Kubernetes service. And I'm also working with another organization on some Azure policy security review efforts to facilitate their new landing zone design, which is neat because I haven't done that before in a professional capacity. So that's super fun. And the third company, we're designing like an all-up framework for their security teams, like across all the different zero trust pillars, which is cool, and they're really fun to work with. But it was supposed to be Copilot for security, and then they changed it at the last minute because they swapped CISOs. So now I don't get to work on Copilot on a project, but I'm going to start working with the team internally to develop intellectual property abilities for our consulting team on Copilot as early as this week. That's nice because I haven't done that well. But
is it me or is Brody breaking up?
I thought I was having. I thought the brain radiation got to me, and I didn't want to say anything.
Brody's breaking up a little bit. I think
his animatronic program.
Yeah, it really depends on who wins the election tomorrow, whether or not Canada will have internet.
Would you?
Yeah, we're gonna put a tariff on that internet coming in and out. Ray, so we don't get to trivial, less serious conversations. How are you doing?
How am I doing?
Are you conserving energy, power? Did your solar panels not come on?
Listen, we're an inclusive group. If I'm a vampire, I'm a vampire, okay? And that's just what it is. All right. Do I not have enough candelabras for you? Okay.
Hey,
I love that. That's a good
word.
word.
Never met enough aristo that I did not meet, did not like.
So what have I been doing? Contemplating my existence, yes, but also on top of that, professionally, somehow I get the most nuanced, complex questions from customers, which is great. All the customers that I meet, and I preach the good word of our service defender experts. And now it's reverse engineering. If they've experienced this particular situation or type of incident with another product stack or service provider, how would this service engage with that or address it? So that's been a fun mapping experience and working across the teams, connecting with a couple of partners this week to build out content for future public-facing webinar events. So we have one next week with the Defender experts, and these are actual technical folks. There's no sales folks. So don't mean to offend anyone, but these are just like the people delivering the service with the brilliance and expertise to protect organizations. So threat hunters, analysts, researchers. So we have that happening next week, and we'd like to build on that and incorporate our partners into the mix as well, because we are partner first and we love them, and they have a lot of value to add to the community as well. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
It's especially when they have to ask you because you represent a service, and that sometimes that request can be very abstract. It's basically, how do you do this? Like, I don't know.
I will figure it out. I will
Figure it out. We punt it. We punt it over to Ed. Ed punts it over to Brody, and Brody punts it over to Rod. We put you in the queue.
And Colette, we don't punt because it's a one Microsoft experience. So even if it's not our immediate domain, we show up as one Microsoft. And I don't know about any other team within the org, but that's how we do it. Defender experts. So I don't know.
Yeah. Parlor hackers, right? I'm a parlor hacker.
Why is that?
Yeah, Rod, what's going on with you, man?
Okay, so as Fire Marshal Bill would say,
oh, I love In Living Color. Stop it.
let me show you something.
Let me show you something.
Yeah. Let me show you something. Or, I don't know how you did it, but just today, by the way, we released this. Folks may not have seen this yet, or you may have noticed. I don't know how many people do like I do and just literally sift through everything to see what's new every single morning when I get up in the morning. So if you've never seen this before, this is a standalone version of Copilot for Security, still Copilot for Security. Sorry. We have this new capability that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, right? The new usage monitoring dashboard. If you've not seen that or you've not heard about it, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but I actually did a walkthrough video you can find, and I'll share that in the show notes. The other thing, though, if you go into owner settings today, we have something else that people have been waiting for. If you see down here, logging audit data in Microsoft Purview. Now, not everybody will have this yet. It's still kind of rolling out. But what this is intended to do, customers have asked, in addition to being able to understand their SCU usage, they also want to know what is happening within Security Copilot, right? So logging, auditing things like, so right now we get admin actions, user actions, and system responses, but we are using Microsoft Purview for this, right? So there's this little toggle button, if you have it rolled out within your environment today, to enable the access to Microsoft Purview. So everything that you do within Copilot for Security gets filtered into Microsoft Purview. Now, if I go into Microsoft Purview, I've been working on this all day long, and my guess is it's going to take about 24 hours for the data to start flowing. And you'll see here in just a second that I have 3 search jobs that I ran a little bit earlier, just on different things. And I get no results, which means the data is not flowing yet. But you do have now a Copilot for Security workload in Purview that you can do searches against, so you can do the auditing and monitoring of the actions within Security Copilot.
Yeah, and you're right. It takes about 24 hours from data ingestion sources to show up. So when I was troubleshooting that problem that I had Brody, you helping me with, I set up Purview in my lab. I'm like, this thing is broken. It's not working. About 20-something hours. I don't know exactly. I was assuming 25. It was full of data. All the stuff had just come in and just populated stuff. So it was good. That's very cool. I think I'm gonna turn it on in my lab to see, but I need to get that Logic app set up to turn the SCU deprovision it because I don't have to see. Yeah, I want to burn through it.
Our good MVP buddy Morton, who we'll see at Ignite in a couple of weeks. He has not just a Logic app, but he has a method to be able to do that on a schedule. Like when you want to run or want to use Security Copilot, it'll ramp up your SCUs and then ramp it down.
Oddly enough, I'm getting really good at the M365 Copilot because I learned something the other day. I had a prompt that was really cool, and I saved it, afraid that I would lose it because if the session breaks across all the browsers, you may not get the prompt history. But inside that, you can schedule prompts. Yeah. You can schedule the prompts to run when you want, anytime. Right. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Run this every day at this time. Like, yeah. One last other thing before we go. I sort of shared it. I'm lazy. I still haven't written the blog yet. I'm trying to wait for Rod to get frustrated and write it, but I'll write it so I can put it on there. If you are still on the MMA ingestion agent, you need to get off. You need to get on the AMA, the Azure monitoring agent, because a unique problem manifested where a customer migrated but could not go back into the data connector and adjust the default query. Rod showed me something in Defender for Cloud, and then I've been sort of fixated on it where I have to go back through all of my data connectors in the workspaces and the Defender for Cloud subscriptions. When you do that and you deploy that agent via Defender for Cloud, it controls the management plane. You have to go in Defender for Cloud now and turn off inside environment settings who owns the ability to change queries in that log analytics workspace. So I've been taking the screenshots, and I'll write a blog for it, and we'll put it on the security. You know what? All of us should write blogs for the security podcast. Individual. I know we blog individually, but we should make a thing that we all write for the show. It's very interesting, and you'll get frustrated because it takes 24 hours before the change affects. So I'm like, this is not working. But we'll talk about it later. It's pretty cool. But Brody had to drop off. Those who wonder where he went, he's not bored. He's having internet connectivity issues. But we have a guest.
We do. I'm going to make sure I'm going to wait till the most opportune moment to bring on our guest because I know they're going to. Oh, there we go. All right.
I was like, don't mess with Nina.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I will sit here with the same face just to make sure that
I know.
don't.
I was like, don't troll Nina. She will troll back harder.
Trying to catch you. Yeah.
Nina. Hello. How you doing?
Hello. Super. How are you?
I'm all right.
Very good. Hey, would you, by the way, we didn't do that properly. I apologize for that. We brought you on.
Should I go back out?
No. We'll keep going from here. We can fix it later.
I have a rolling chair. It just pop up.
Oh, there you go. That's actually pretty good.
I know. Amazing.
That was pretty good because you did it from the proper side of the screen and everything. You've done this before.
1 or 2 times. This is the first time.
Not her first rodeo, Rod.
Yeah. Well, rodeos, parlors. I don't know where we're getting at tonight. Nina, welcome to the show. Would you love to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Can we do like a physical challenge instead? Or...
Sure.
Like arm wrestling?
Virtual.
Stand on your head. Yeah.
I have a whole thing written up because I have really bad bios because I just suck at doing this for myself. So I'm gonna read it because I had to do it earlier today. So enjoy this moment.
Okay. Can I share who you are from my perspective, and then you come in and you're like, actually, no, because I feel like that might work a little bit better.
I wish you all knew how often I have to interrupt people that are trying to do my bios, and I'm like, I'll do it. It's just easier if I do it.
That's great.
Go for it.
Well, we have Nina Alli here with us today. She has spearheaded the biohacking village for more than a decade, which is a mainstay of DEF CON. She also spearheaded the organization of B-Sides Puerto Rico. She has been in cybersecurity as well as healthcare for more than 2 decades. She has military experience. She does not look her age. She's also a vampire. She represents women in tech. She is a hero of mine, an inspiration, and we are incredibly privileged to have her here today to share her insights and perspectives across a diversity of topics.
I feel like that's pretty accurate, but I also want to say we talked for like 2 hours the other day, so she's got tons of insight. So everything you said is right. I don't know what else you want me to say. You're like the only one. I just want you to know that. So the only other thing I'll add is that for my 2 decades of health information technology, cybersecurity, I've worked on electronic medical records, medical devices, RIOs, or regional health information organizations, and HIE's health information exchanges. So it's just leveling up of information specifically for patients.
Well, cool.
All right, we're done. See, that was good.
Well, thank you, Nina, for coming on the show tonight. It's been a wonderful time. Thanks, Ray.
I just want to add one more thing. Do I get a subtitle, or like how's this work? Am I ostracized?
We probably need to vote on your subtitle. I don't know. What would you like? I could do that as we go through, but
I don't know. But I feel like it should be dealer's choice because nobody else chose theirs.
Does her own bios. Very good.
There you go.
So anyway, welcome to the show. I'm super happy to be here. That you are here.
You're here
The
too.
DEF CON
Yeah.
thing has me super intrigued because
Me
you've been
too.
doing that for what, 10 years? Is that
10
what I
years.
read?
Yep.
That's crazy. Explain
Yeah.
that to our audience, because we have some folks that have never been to DEF CON. Imagine that in the security realm who has not been to DEF CON, but explain
Sometimes
what that
it's
is.
cost prohibitive, I will say. So for us to, yeah, I would say, like, ooh, Edward's like she's starting, but I want to make that see, because Nina, I'm real. We had a conversation. Can she be real? We can be real, and so not everybody has access, but we're that's something that there's an opportunity there to be more aware of that.
Well, and I think in that respect, Ray, I think you paid for yourself to go, right? We've talked about this before. You thought it was super valuable and super important enough for you to like, hey, and so maybe we need to discuss what DEF CON is and how it is this valuable thing that maybe if people don't have that opportunity, maybe it's something they absolutely want to look into. So what is this DEF CON thing?
So I want to be clear that DEF CON and all the villages are very separate. They are two different entities. Most of the villages are not-for-profits, and DEF CON is the overarching conference. So it's like one of those circuses in the rings. So DEF CON is the red circus moment, and then everybody else, all of the villages start presenting their own stuff. So DEF CON overarching conference, largest hacker conference in the world that brings about 35,000 people into it. They descend into Las Vegas desert in the beginning of August. And then the villages are very focused knowledge points. So Biohacking Village focuses on biotech, cybersecurity, and patient safety. So do you want Biohacking Village stuff now or just DEF CON? So actually, I love data, so we're going to go into this. So there's a lot of moments where we've had a lot of us have had the conversation with DEF CON of like, this is expensive. How are we going to do this? Because I think there's so much more to just getting the ticket, right? It's a $480 ticket, which if you take into consideration the rest of the conferences, that's not a lot of money. What's cost prohibitive is your flight, your food, and your hotel. Because I stay this abnormal amount of time. I stay for about a week because I have to prep everything and then I leave. But my stay by myself is about 5 to 6K, just me.
Wow.
And then I have to bring the rest of the team in.
Hmm.
So
That's a lot of money.
That's interesting to me because gone are the days, I guess, when Vegas was kind of a cheap flight and cheap food and all that stuff. Now with conferences and things, them trying to make more monetization, I guess it's just a lot more
it's
expensive.
become very fancy, super fancy. But it's also our industry has gotten fancier. We've all recognized that we can become our own business people, and we understand how business planning and cost and value function now. So none of us are really staying at some of the lower end hotels. We're all like, no. I want to stay at Fontainebleau, or I want to be in Aria or wherever. Because one, we're gonna be walking, it's hot. When I go back to the hotel room, I want to go to sleep. I want to be comfortable. So our expenditures have also gone up, but not necessarily ticket. The ticket is prohibitive to a lot of people, yes, but adding the additional costs does not make it super leverageable. Those are words, leverageable. Leverageable, is that a word?
Good word. It's a good word.
We'll make it. We're yeah.
So you've got the overarching DEF CON. Mm-hmm. You have all these little, little circles, the little smaller rings, right? These villages, and you have participated or at least helped manage the biotech village for.
I'm the executive director.
Yeah,
actually.
Rod.
There you
that
go.
was creating an opportunity for you.
I wouldn't know if I don't ask. Yeah, I don't know if I don't.
No. I only say that because this is such a hard thing to do, right? When you go to the conference, any conference, you're like, this is great. And then you leave a little commentary, everything falling. And then you leave a little commentary about how it looks and how it feels. But my whole thing is once DEF CON has started, I'm already planning for next year. So let's go back a little bit. So Biohacking Village is 5 different labs because I'm an overachiever of exponential levels. And I also brought in my hospital experiences because there's a lot of cyber, there's a lot of biotech, that's great. But if you don't understand how it all works together, there's a whole part that you're missing. So 5 different labs. We have speakers, people come in, talk about the cool emerging technologies or hacks that happened and how it affected biotech, cybersecurity, patient safety. Then we do workshops, so that's more for hands-on building, breaking, and programming. We have tabletop exercises, so everybody has all these conversations, and I try to take little friend groups and break them up so that they have to counter each other, because that's how war really
Smart.
works. And then CTF, so you get your friend group back and you start going through the challenges. And all of the challenges are cyber bio based. It's a hospital atmosphere. You have to save the hospital. You have to save the world. And then we also have the device lab. So the device lab is the manufacturers, the real medical device manufacturers come in and they bring their wares, hardware, software, whatever they want to do that year, and put it on the table and have face-to-face conversations with the hackers. So, and they are allowed, the hacker community is allowed to get into and break the device. And the caveat to that whole thing is if they find something, a vulnerability, of finding a disclosure, anything like that, they have to have the conversation immediately with the manufacturer. So last year we had 42 findings in 20 hours. And by 20, I mean 16, because on Sunday there was something found. So that's evolutionary, revolutionary, because that's a big deal in any part of the industry.
So
Well, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Is it a badge of honor? Those who find the most, they can turn it in, like hunting? Well, that was a bad thing.
So
Obviously,
they get the
hunting.
CVEs for it. They get the CVEs, and they get and they get, depending on who the manufacturer is, some of them have Wall of Fame. So you'll be on the Wall of Fame for them, and then we post up on Biohacking Village of like they found the most problems, issues.
So sort of like
Very
a
cool.
volunteer bug bounty, being able to find it of a sort.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I see it. It's a huge amount of trust that's being exhibited there, but I think that the risk is worth the findings. You said 28 findings, or was it 48?
42.
42.
Yeah, that's a bunch. You have to assume that, you know, the people or the manufacturers that are there, they're there because they want things to be found. But do you ever have any manufacturers that like
Oh, I was
act like they
avoiding a
don't care?
lawsuit at 9 a.m. on Friday before DEF CON started.
Yeah.
Like, there was a long conversation. Like, people flew in because they were like, no. It was like, well, that's a conversation that we should have had right before this, not right now.
Oh yeah.
Wow, interesting. So, okay, I gotta ask: is there like a pattern of devices that typically don't stand up to security standards and are more easily broken into than other devices, or other patterns that you can share?
Oh, we don't need to disclose this. We don't have to.
Yeah, that you can
Use
share.
names. Use names. Tell us exactly who. What it is.
No, because that becomes illegal.
Yeah.
That becomes a legal issue for me. Yeah. So I do find that there's a category of devices that always gets owned, or at least there's way too many issues in there's one category. So I'm very careful about bringing them in. Like, there's so much more to this, right? Like for Biohacking Village, because I'm very sensitive to all of these devices coming in. Biohacking Village has a pre-con partnership. Like, you can get all of your stuff tested with some of our people just to make sure that you are as intact as possible when you get to DEF CON. So, because the life goal, for at least for me, is not to throw down and be like, we opened your device up and you got owned, ha ha ha. It's more like, look at you, overachiever. I am so excited. You did great. So much safety. Wow. That's the goal. I want everybody to walk out and be like, nothing happened. Like, that's the trophy I'm looking for.
Is that the paradigm shift that you're looking to see within the cybersecurity realm, especially with the intersection of like healthcare delivery and healthcare devices, medical devices?
Yeah, so that's such a broader question, right? Because let's go around the room. Don't answer around the room. But my whole moment is that we are all patients, right? We all have an electronic medical record number somewhere. Doesn't matter if you're an active patient or a passive patient. You're a patient. When you walk into the hospital, every critical industry, every critical infrastructure lives in the hospital. So if one goes wrong, it will have an effect. If the lights go off, right, you got to turn everything off, because no surgery, they will put those extra battery things that I can't remember what they're called right now. That yes, they'll put the generator up and that'll be great, but you have a very finite time with that.
Mhm.
You're waiting for these patients, which means now these other patients that need surgery are not getting surgery because you need to reserve that. If there's no water, that's a different kind of problem. You can't feed people, you can't cook, you can't do search. So there's just so much everything piles into the one critical infrastructure that is healthcare. So when people talk about, what's important and this is important, all these things are important, yes, they all are. But at the end of the day, the pinnacle of where everything meets is healthcare. So is that the change I'm looking for? I would love for just there's no right? There's no correct enough for any of the industry. But oh, this is such a loaded question. I think you did this to me the other day too.
No, I do think to people, and I so apologize to anybody.
No, I'm in for it. I'm in for it because I love a good
compensation.
argument. Because the other part of this moment is a device is a device is a device, right? America does not create something and they're like, this one's going to Argentina, this one's going to Singapore, this one's going wherever. No, they make a device and then they send it out to the world with prayer and hope that it's as secure as it's going to be, and whoever is getting that device will also secure it. Where there's not a lot of funding in hospitals, like there's not a huge money bag hidden somewhere going, we're going to secure everything because we have this extra load of cash. Safety when you're in the hospital is a very different concept. They don't look at it as cybersecurity safety. They look at it as patient safety. So they're not going to spend extra money going, we need another firewall for this. They're going to go, no, we need another surgical robot. That's the safety level.
Well, I would say.
Can you move your microphone to you?
Oh, like that?
Yes.
Is that better? Let me turn the gain up. How about that?
Yes.
Let me play devil's advocate here.
I'm ready.
It seemed like the prevailing, sentiment was, boys need healthcare. We're underfunded. We don't have the skilled people. They don't want to stay here because people do advertise themselves as capitalists and money making still the best people. But one thing I'm starting to see is a shift here, because the way that was presented outshined the capitalism, which is healthcare. Healthcare makes a lot of money. There are private companies and public companies. They make a lot of money now. So that stuff is starting to not sway, because now when you're starting to see people look at these underperforming and underfunded things, it used to be you didn't go past page 1. Man, they keep picking on healthcare, but when you go back, you're owned by that, and your CEO made this, and you had record here, and you running the game because you're not nonprofit, you're not for profit, and there's a distinct difference. And so now you're starting to see the sympathy of that being overplayed by people who are digging in. Now, that's not demonstrably true. Rod and I are huge supporters and contributors to St. Jude. That is one of my charity things that does not just, if you ever go, you'll know, but won't go there.
Should have the conversation. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, It's going to come a time where you can't have certain industries within the healthcare industry report record earnings. And I know it's not related, because the information exchange that was used to process prescriptions and everything else, people just bundle that in. Oh, that's healthcare. But you do have the core care system that is underfunded. But now you're starting to see people who are questioning the revenue generation of this and say, you choose to where you put the money. In your case is very, very, very much relevant. I would spend the money in the business of hospital care, and I can get an laparoscopic robot to do this. But then people go, well, your priorities is this, because it's been said, it's not when. I mean, it's not if, it's just when. So how much time do you spend battling that question when it comes up? Like, there is money in healthcare, you're choosing where to spend it.
Is that a rhetorical question? What do you want me to answer you?
Well, unless you're the guy that owns it, you're the person that owns everything, but it's a rhetorical question.
No. So the other thing is, I've studied this so much because I'm angry about this. Because I'm like, how come you hospitals make all this money? Where is it going? Are all these people getting paid for it? Fully agree with all of this. And then I don't remember the site. I have it somewhere on like my millions of tabs. and it's a whole like review of the revenue that the hospitals take in, and you think it's this massive amount of money. So it's not for profit and then not for profit. Understood. The biggest payer for healthcare is CMS, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services in the US. And they do not pay exponentially well. And then you also have there's different modules for patients. So you have the ones that are in CMS, you have private, and then you have the ones that managed care. So managed care, you could go once a year, you could go every single day. You're still getting like the $5 for it. So is it that all of these hospitals are making money? If you're a not-for-profit, you have to take that revenue and throw it back into the hospital.
Yep.
So everybody's getting their pay. There's not a lot of leftover money to do anything. I do understand that the CEOs and the board are making a good amount of money, but there's a lot of decisions and a lot of insurance that goes along with that. There's a lot of culpability. There's a lot of med malpractice that goes along with how they have to self-subsidize so that they don't go down, and then there's this whole rural area or Manhattan or whatever that has to close, right? Like Beth Israel downtown, they had to close, and they left the whole in Manhattan. They closed and left the whole area just completely without physicians that now have to go uptown for doctors.
Yeah.
So it becomes you're losing and you're losing.
With that, I will ask this question, and then Ray is for it. It seems to be very much when I talk to individuals who are working in HLS and life sciences, who are extremely skilled like yourself, and you have to ask the question: is it the passion that got you there solely, or is it something else? Because just by talking to you, and this is the thing, I can imagine 15 to 20 corporate companies, they're trying to look you up on LinkedIn and send you, hey, would you like to talk? This. So how do you find yourself staying into this, knowing that, oh my God, my skills are so much wanted and desired, but I'm in this because now the hunting grounds for talent is pilfering extremely skilled individuals in healthcare. I'm seeing it. I like looking at the employment trends, and I'm sure your mailbox blows up once a month. Hey, what are you doing? What do you make? This is what I think.
Girl. It's like Tinder for healthcare.
In the DMs, yeah, they're in your LinkedIn DMs. I love it.
Okay, so is it the mission, and do you find yourself being able to stay motivated in the place that you choose to put your skills?
I feel like this has turned into an interview for real. I should have.
No,
changed.
It's not an interview.
No. I'm kidding. This is again loaded questions.
No,
I love this moment. No. I love this. I love this game.
Yeah.
So it's so much of the answers I don't really know because I'm very passionate about this. But at one point I got so burned out because I was like, nobody's listening. So I got so where I was working, I was so burned out that I was like, I can't work. I'm just so done. So I went into finance. And the bank I worked at was like, we have all this money, go do what you want. And I was just building stuff and I was just doing like all the things I wanted. And it was fantastic. And then I worked in the government after that. And it was during COVID, during the Trump to Biden administration over. And I was like, what are we doing? What is happening with all of these regulations and stuff? And then I got back out and I started working for another company. But I'm not sure if it's like anger and passion. I want this to be better. Why we don't make strides to eliminate people from needing so much care later in life. I'm just talking about America. We give people healthcare that nobody really uses, right? Because you're not given the time from work to go and do anything. If you don't feel good and you don't go to work, you're not a team player anymore. Why not? So I just want us to be more, I thought at the beginning and middle of COVID that we would be a little more empathetic to people and their issues and their lives. I don't know if that happened. I think in some aspects it did, but with healthcare, we can do better. We have to do better. And I know that's like super, everybody says that we should be doing better. We should be doing all these things, but it's also At what point do we start doing better? There's all these people with these ideas. I've been doing the talks that I'm hearing people do now. I was going through my PowerPoints because I'm old and my slide decks, and I was like, I talked about this stuff in like 2015. Why is this brand new? I was talking about business continuity with somebody the other day, and I was like, weird, because I did this in 2010 at the hospital. Why are we here?
Yeah.
So we're just looping. We're on a continuous cycle of like, let's make a decision, except let's not.
That inertia. Yeah. Well, I wanted to hear about like I feel like we jumped in the middle in media res, right in the middle of the plot, in the middle of the story. How did you get into cyber? What is your origin story, and how did you connect healthcare and cybersecurity? And obviously, it's a mission that you've internalized, because I'm very passionate about it. And when we had our chat, I shared with you, I will follow you into the lion's den, but it would never really occur to me to spearhead the initiative to enter the lion's den. And you need a good leader and somebody that you respect and trust to live that mission. And you obviously, like, your energy is palpable. So I want to understand how it started.
In a good way, or
did you choose it, or was it an accident? How about that? Yeah, there you go.
Yes, both of them.
Yeah.
I was in the military and got out, and I went to the guy, and he's like, "Are you looking for a job? Do you want to work with kids?" And I was like, "No, we're good. No, I can't do that." And then he said, "Do you know how to use a computer?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course," because I thought everybody did. And I went for the interview, and the guy that was interviewing me was former Air Force. And I was sitting up the whole time, and he's like, "I can tell you're nervous. You're sitting up." And I was like, "I'm not nervous. I was taught to do this." And he was like, "I just want you to know you're hired. Like, go home and pretend nothing's happening, but tomorrow you're gonna get all the invoices for this, like invitations, whatever." So it was accidental, but not. My father was a paramedic for the FDNY, and my father was he was a bad with it. Like, so he got into the FDNY so as an EMS, right? So he was a paramedic EMS. I think in like 1974, 76, some number, I don't know. So he was in New York City running around with like people throwing bullets around, and just
Bronx is
a lot of Bronx, Brooklyn. He worked in all the boroughs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see him come home, and I was like, wow, that is an intense job. I do not want that. But then as I started going through life, I was like, this is super interesting. Why is this so weird? When I got into it, the electronic medical records had just come out. So I was building I worked at a 23 facility, multi-specialty infrastructure hospital system, clinic system. And we were just building them up from there. And that was like the defining point of my life. I was like, this is great. I love this. We are going to be super great after this. That was after Katrina. So Katrina, I guess, Hurricane Katrina is like the impetus for this. Because after Hurricane Katrina, a lot of people were walking around going, I take a blue pill. And people were like, great, what's it called? And they're like, I don't know, blue pill. How many milligrams? I don't know. What's it look like? It's this big and it's a blue pill and I take it twice a day. Super useful, right? When people are already in a place of duress. So the Americans were trying to instantiate an EMR through all of America.
How did DEF CON become your podium? Seems like you are locked in. How did that happen?
So I am not one of the original founders of it. I went in, I think it was 2013, and looked at the little booklet that they give you, and I was like, yes. I specifically went for Biohacking Village, and they had printed it before the schedule was made, so it was all weird. So I ended up just sitting in the room waiting for the talks. And eventually the people came in and they were like, what are you doing here? Had a whole conversation with them, and then they wanted a new PM for the next year. And I was like, I was put up for slaughter. So I was chosen.
You're offered
I think I was offered as tribute, and that's how I ended up picking this up.
Gladiator.
Cool.
There you go.
Well, but it kind of sounds like, though, you like you said, went into finance and government and stuff like that. So the DEF CON thing probably has kind of kept you grounded, or at least kept at least one toe into that biotech area this whole time, right? Even though you've kind of, so maybe that's where that personal passion, where it's kind of kept it energized.
So my degrees are all in bio. I
Are
have
they? Oh,
biomedical
wow.
informatics. So my first
Yeah.
one is in engineering. My master's is in biomedical informatics. My other master's is in translational medicine, and I'm in law school right now. I have no life.
No big
If you ever
deal.
think to yourself, what am I doing with my life? Yeah,
You need your own parlor.
I feel
I
like I'm
do.
lazy now. I feel
No,
lazy.
I hear that so much. They're like, how do you have time? I'm like, I don't sleep.
Yeah, sleep is overrated.
But
Nina-
I
you
only need
know,
4
also
hours.
I think it's. I'll switch it over to Brody here in a sec. But I think the more I talk to people, the more we have this show, or I talk to other people that are in security, I think we are all kind of very like-minded and have very similar personalities where we literally cannot sit still for a minute. It's not that we're busy, it's just that we have to be busy. That's how we just kind of have to live our life. I can't sit still for a sec. I have to get up, go do things and work. And I swear I will never retire. I won't be able to do it. But I think very similarly, people in IT or in security specifically, I think we just literally cannot rest. It's kind of part of our psyche where we always have to look. It's like the alerting thing for a SOC, right? Security Operations Center. We're like, oh, what's that latest alert? I gotta shut that down or something.
Probably
That's
overlap with
essentially.
neurodivergence. Probably.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say it.
Brody, you were.
No, all good. That's a good comment. I feel the same thing about our team.
Yeah.
Nina, all right. So huge passion for what you do. You got into the biohacking village in DEF CON. You've probably learned a ton by being involved in that. What can you, or what should we be bringing back as cybersecurity professionals to the healthcare sector in order to better patient care delivery, objectives, care? And what are some lessons learned in your experience, in your opinion as well?
Um, we we work with a lot of old architecture. It's the tried and true, and it works, and we're good to go, and we keep building on it instead of advancing. Um, so Microsoft being what it is, um, there's a lot of medical devices that are built on Windows like XP that still live in the world. I completely understand it's in a grave. Somebody brought it back up and then threw it back in the grave. And Windows 95. So right now I work in regulation and compliance for cybersecurity. And one of the comments recently that somebody gave me was, there's just a lot of changes to Microsoft and we're not really we can't keep up to date with it. And I was like, that's not how that works though. You have to, because this is going to end of life at some point. 11 is going to end up ending of life, end of life. And then we're going to 12 pretty soon. I think it's in 2025, April or something like that. And I was like, you can't, uh, any all medical devices are part of someone else's infrastructure, and that is how you have to look at it. You are passing on the issues to someone else. You can't just wrap it in a firewall or wrap some other control around it. You need to actually do the work and ensure it, because the new regulations, they're not kind anymore. The regulations for healthcare have been going on for 10 years, and now they're like, you got this, go be brave. And everybody's like, what do you mean? What do you mean go be brave? What is that? And it's that the 19 steps with the sub steps should have been, you should have been acclimated already. None of this should be hard. So I think the prominent thing is we have to be okay with change. I do understand that there's a lot of fiscal responsibility that goes along with that, because you may not have the people, you may not have the resources to do the things. That doesn't negate that you are responsible for the items, the devices, the products, applications that you put out in the world, because patients are dependent on this, legit dependent on it.
Agreed. Okay, very good point. Now, can you help me understand
No, I don't understand
why?
either.
But do new devices not get built with like the latest operating systems, or are we just talking we are keeping things online that are so old and there's no budget to replace them, and
Yeah.
we don't care that there's no updates, we're just going to roll with it? Like, is that
Not that
just
they
the
don't care,
situation?
that they've accepted the risk, and there isn't like a change management effort in a charitable
This is
way.
loaded. This is loaded. Have you ever seen a surgical robot? Thing is,
On the internet.
Maybe.
so we had one this year at the biohacking village, and so we had 10,000 square feet, of which this device took up easily 2,000 square feet by itself. And that hospitals are built around some of these machines. Like an MRI machine, you can't just dismantle it and be like, throw it away. These are gazillion-dollar devices that are supposed to last. So telling people, oh, well, we have to upgrade this whole thing, that's a lot of cost. So it's figuring out, there's, again, like there's contractual obligations that the manufacturer is supposed to be under. There's a lot. I feel like Rod has
so
things
what's
to
the
say.
average age of equipment in a hospital or a medical environment? Because I'm thinking, in my mind, I also like sci-fi. I'm thinking, but at this point, you talk about a surgical robot. I'm thinking, man, I've got this android sitting there working on my auntie, and she's going to do a great job because it's the most current, most efficient thing that we have. And you're telling me that my auntie's getting operated on by a 10-year-old robot who, is that the case?
Depends on the institution.
So it depends on the institution, but it depends on what software level these things are at, right? Because if you think about a hospital, how many device kinds, types, different manufacturers does everybody have? You have to, in case of something happening, you have to test every single one of these devices. And then what service level is this thing at? So now you have to test that. And you can't test it in a silo. You can't just test this one infusion pump. This infusion pump connects to the EMR, which connects to other things, which connects. You have to do this in a complete complete hospital atmosphere, right? So which hospital has that available?
Yeah, so from a cybersecurity skill set perspective, knowing these devices are, you have a lot of legacy devices sitting around, you have to keep a really deep depth of knowledge for all of these things for like the past 20 years. Is that right?
That's approximate.
So I can see your frustration from before wanting to go into finance and everything else, because that could be severely frustrating.
Well, we act as though we've talked about, and we've talked about the same topic several times on this show over the last 3 years. This was a deliberate act. If we keep thinking like technologists on this show because we're smart. Brody's made fun of me that I was a salesperson. And you're right, I am. But I'm absolutely a business person. This was a deliberate act. If you go look at the boards of these hospitals, they have exercised technologists off their board. And the board is not the leadership team. The CTO's job is to hold steady, and the CISO job in these healthcare is to accept the risk and mitigate the risk. Because the technology is, hey, you need to hold steady with what we have. Yeah, innovation seems like a funny thing, but the CISO's job now, and the chief security officer, you need to hold serve for what we have. And when you go to the board that controls the dollars, the leadership team doesn't control the dollars. The board controls the dollars. Satya doesn't run anything. It looks like he does. The board runs the organization. And they will make sure that the board represents the interests of the company and the entity that they have. And so that's why you start to see these things, because you're starting to see CTOs be reduced of a sort. They used to be innovators. Hey, I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to be the company that's not doing the latest and coolest things. Now, in pharma, I don't know, Nina, if you can either validate or disvalidate it, because I don't work it anymore. Pharma is a little bit different. If I can get that drug out quicker, I'm in front of you, right? But when you look at static healthcare or I can't even think of the term. Come on, Ray, help me. Therapeutic, maybe. I can't think of whatever. You have to hold steady. Yeah. Doctors like, dude, don't make my job harder. Don't give me some new tech. Don't make my job harder. So it's not an easy fix. Everybody likes to beat on healthcare, and if you are, you're wrong. You don't
almost understand. Like you should be able to choose. I want a discount because I was operated on with a 10-year-old robot.
No.
So there's a lot here, right? Let's unpack this. Yeah. Think about the different generations of physicians that we are working with and for. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people from the great generation. I don't know if they're called the great generation anymore. The great generation, the boomers, the Gen X, and the millennials, and then the things that come after that. I don't know what the generations are called anymore. So you're dealing with them as physicians, and you're dealing with them as patients as well. So if a physician, a lot of people, a lot of the physicians started retiring after all of the new med tech things came out because they were like, this is extreme, this is a lot, this is too much to do, because they were not, it was the way that medicine, I'm not even going to bother with cyber, that medicine was going. Everything was becoming more technological, and we started losing a lot of people. So I understand this whole thing of like, I lost my train of thought because I was trying to unpack everything too fast.
Because we're not bringing together both the physician perspective and the technology.
So it's more than that, right? Because you also have patients that are in need of all this care. How many, my grandparents are still alive, right? And they're in their 80s, 90s. Do they know how to use all the apps that can make an appointment or check on their care or do anything else like that? Not really, no. But I do. And I can make all of these appointments and everything else for them. But that creates a different onus on me to continue to support them. So when we do medicine stuff, there's so many different points of view that you have to take into consideration when you're building all these things. A lot of the physicians would rather do a laparoscopic is like when you put the tube inside somebody, you don't scalpel them open. That's called an open surge. A lot of patients want a lap surge now, so that you get in, you get out, you go home. There's a faster recovery and all of that. That's a different generation of physicians that are doing that. That's a different level of patients that know to ask for a lap versus open. It also depends on the level of sickness and everything else that you're going through. So I think there's a couple of caveats in here. How much duress are you willing to put on the doctors to do their work, while simultaneously nobody goes to the doctor because they're feeling super, right? You go in for your once a year and that's like the only time you're feeling great. But how willing is healthcare to add more duress to people when they're already in a place of pain?
Because the whole point is to minimize the barriers to access to care.
To do no harm.
Yeah.
Do no harm.
So what can big tech do? Big tech, what can we do to help bring together not just the technical controls, cyber from our very technical perspective, that change management piece, bring it all together. What can we do, not just as leaders, but we have a huge partner ecosystem. What can we do to help drive this mission, support it?
Just healthcare or in biohacking?
You decide.
No, you got to tell me. You got to tell me, because I've given broad answers. What can big tech do?
Well, I think where we might have the most opportunity potentially is the biotech, because
biohacking village.
So maybe answer that piece. The biohacking, I don't know. That's kind of mind share at that point, right? So I don't know how we could inject ourselves into that discussion, but I think more so the biotech, because I think this is super interesting to understand. Again, I keep harping on this, but the legacy systems that are in there, how can we help organizations improve and get up to speed or up to date if they can, right?
So as a fun fact, a lot of the laws are stating now that anything that is based on legacy applications has to have, once you end of life it, has to have 10 years of documentation plus end of life. So a lot of things are going to start getting canceled out and pushed aside for new stuff. So I think if we're going to have these conversations, it's not necessarily how are we going to work so much on this legacy. So let's add to that. There's other regulations now also saying hospitals are going to be super, they're going to be the arbiters of justice almost. Like if you see something wrong in the hospital with the cybersecurity, you got to point it out and you got to tell people about it so that it can get fixed. Yeah, so it adds a lot of dimension of the power that these hospitals have, which I think could be great, because now they've got all these different technologies and they can be like, we can't get owned because of you. So is this a situation where big tech can help with the legacy items? Yes, because they are the mainstay of the hospital situation, right? A lot of us are built on Microsoft. So how is Microsoft going to help further the want and the need that medical, healthcare, cyber, medicine to secure patient safety from a data perspective, from an individual perspective, and just how do I know my data is safe based on all this?
Well, and you mentioned that early on when we first started this discussion. You're a data person, and I absolutely am too. Is it there's just not enough data, or the data is bad, or not data is not being collected, in that we can expose those legacy things and those potentially unsecure situations?
There's so much data, and a lot of it is unstructured.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that hospitals get there's a couple of studies that say there's, I think it's 297 days before a hospital even knows that they've been hacked. So people are just sifting around, just meandering, walking around, going, I got this data, and plucking things out and going, oh, I got caught. But they've already got the back end. So
Yeah.
at that point, what are you going to do? Do you start protecting when they've already picked your things apart? Yes. So, and there's a lot of unstructured data. So because it's unstructured, you can't really do anything. You have to go in and sift through it and parse it out. So what are we talked about studies before, right? I think Edward talked about studies before. Um, there's so much information in clinical trials that in the maybe 5 years ago, all this data was just written out, where now they can't. Oh, it was farm. You were talking about farm. The clinical trials are sort of impeded because the data isn't statically done. It's cool.
Yeah.
Here's a paragraph of everything you need to know about people. The other part of this is there's different dimensionality now, where AI is AI, and there's a new regulation saying there must be more patients of other genders and other ethnic backgrounds to be in these clinical trials, because they were all based on 18 plus white men. So most of the medications in the world will work for 2 out of the 5 people
Yeah.
in this group. Where now they can take AI, and we've all most of us have done the AI 23andMe swab. Now they're just plucking that out, going, okay, let's see how this works against genetic code. And if you go into the hospitals, you don't know what they've swabbed from you or taken in your blood or done things like that.
Yeah, I think though it's hard to be a provider of care, and that's let's just say the provider of care. I'll dumb it down to say hospitals for those patients and even the individual offices, because innovation doesn't come from them all the time. Because you're still providing innovation sometimes comes under duress, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only time you start to see a deviation from that when you have research hospitals who are funded to find the way. And a lot of them are tied to universities.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of private entities can do this, right? Because they're going to be beholden to shareholders and not endowments, right? And so you're going to find yourself in a position where there is no spot fix. There is no technology fix. You ask, how can big tech get better? Well, it's hard to help when you're a provider of this, when you don't do this. Microsoft is saying, we will secure everything you tell us you need to secure. And we're not here to tell you what to secure, but we're here to help you. And so it's hard to innovate when you at the consumer level of the technologies most often, right? And there's no easy answer to it. But I do think that there's a change that's going to come. This has to come. I know we're talking about security here, and I think it comes from what we said on the show. I've said it. Everybody said it. When you're talking about an average dwell time of 200 plus days in a hospital, when they said that the industry standard used to be that, but now with the recent polls as of 2 years ago, technology in corporate America says that the dwell time is below 60 days. Where's that disparity? Why healthcare is still having a dwell time before somebody realizes you've been compromised 200 plus days, but the rest of the corporate entities, they're corporate because they have been defined as moneymakers. So
but they also have security teams.
That's
There's not a lot of
that's
hospitals with their own security teams.
Yeah, and I'm not counting. I'm not,
Yeah.
berating.
We've had guests that were from the dedicated security team, but it's always going to be a challenge, right? So to imagine a way to offload some of that burden, right? I guess that was the point of the question. Like, how can we be purposeful with our contributions as big tech?
Big tech And security companies that are claim themselves big tech and security companies need to partner with health care providers, and that is the secret. It's not to come in and tell them how efficient you are and sell you more. I will partner with you and put some skin in the game. You have to find companies that have the appetite for it. You gotta have the appetite for it. And it's huge potential there. It's huge potential. If any one big company says, hey, don't just have an HLS division where you have people specialize in talking to jargon.
Yeah.
Why are they talking about that? You gotta have someone that will absolutely get in there and do it. And it's hard because a lot of times those are good Samaritans a lot of times to come in and do that. But I see the landscape changing because now you can't hide, you have to treat HLS like everything else and say, hey, we are a target now, and there are no more scruples, there are no more boundaries. And HLS needs to put their foot down, put it down, and say, hey, you're not just going to come in and sell me something. You're going to partner with me because I am doing the things. Because if all the things we've talked about, if we really need a theme month, we need to talk about this for a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
Whole thing. This needs to be a theme month.
Agreed.
Talk about this and have multiple things. And we also need not just the worker bees. We need some executives from some of these places. I don't know who has the contacts, but we need to come in and say, tell me what your day is like of being a CISO of this health group. Tell me, and we'll see from there.
And then we tell them where they can improve their day. How about that?
Yeah. Don't threaten Nina with a good time.
So hospitals are built on protocol, right? Like if you go in with cancer, everything is a protocol. Same thing with the hospital. Same thing with the medical devices and the EMR and all that other stuff. It's a lot of this is also that they are so built into their protocols. Doing an upgrade on an EMR takes months to a year to a year and a half to do the conversion, because you have to think about the patients that you're going to be caring for or not caring for, training and all of those things. So if big tech was going to help improve healthcare, and by healthcare I mean the hospitals, because the medical device manufacturers themselves, they have a large valuation, right? They have a lot of revenue. They're going to be fine. But are the hospitals are we going to be able, as big tech, are we also going to be able to walk in and go, I'm just going to fix all your protocols? I have a huge thing with people doing that, because I've had conversations with people in Congress and they're like, oh, we'll just fix this. And I'm like, no. You cannot change protocols. You can't change workflows that you've never experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So you coming in and like experiencing the hospital for a week isn't going to change what one patient's experience is, because we are all going to go in with very different issues, right? Like if you went to your GP, you're going in for a cold, you're going in for like your toe hurts and whatever else. There's so many different aspects to making this whole. So there's a whole of healthcare, like WHOLE, and then there's the whole of healthcare.
Yeah.
I want to trademark that because it is on my slide.
It's really good. I think you should.
And pithy.
So, no, but let me ask you, when we talk about Biohacking Village, right? As far as I'm aware, there's never been any sponsorship. Is that by design? Like it's never been like
no. We are sponsored. We are sponsored
by big tech. By big tech.
We are sponsored by a lot of the medical device manufacturers, but big tech not so much.
I think big tech is waiting for someone to go first. I mean, really go first.
Come through Microsoft.
Oh, no, I'm just.
Yeah, we're not decision makers. Apple browsers is what we are.
So there was a comments from like LinkedIn and YouTube, I think, and they were talking about the regulations. There are so many regulations that healthcare is under, and they've been under for a minimum of 10 years at this point. And everything is so like planned in nuances for healthcare. And then because healthcare plus medical device manufacturers are also considered like their networking and their manufacturing, they have to get all of those things put in. So like a couple of the companies I know that that are primarily healthcare companies or medical device companies can fulfill or do something in all 16 critical infrastructures. So there is nothing but laws that are overseeing everything that is done. It's just a matter of how does that matrix work? How are you going to make it work as the company? And I guess, how do you fulfill that, right? How do you fill that brief?
Well, that problem's been solved, and it took a while.
Amen.
But
we're done here.
You see that the classic solve for that problem is government contracts. For a while, it was like this sales cycle took too long. They use antiquated software. The skill set of the people were coming antiquated because they were doing it.
So the government contracts is doing a beautiful thing. They came after Cerner. They went after Cerner.
Yeah.
CVA went after Cerner, and they were like, you didn't fulfill the brief. You didn't give us you gave us 3 out of the 10 things. We need money back. We need money back, and you're gonna like do the thing. You're going to make it the way we want. Government contracts are getting brutal. I love it.
They figured out we have to play by the rules in this, but they also realize it's lucrative because when you go through, and it's a lot of people don't get into that arena. It's lucrative if you get in and you win that contract until someone contests it. Then he wants you to go back and rebid, right? But hospitals can flex their muscle if they come together, especially if you're a huge conglomerate, to say, I will throw you out of here and use the place right here because they're at least doing the things that we are going to do. But you're still looking at process rather than a technology fix. We need more technology mindset on these leadership boards. I'm telling you, it's a deliberate.
Yeah.
We'll look at it. No, we want you off of here. We want this on here. And it used to be that some of the most creative innovators were the CTOs who had to do more with less. They had to do more with less. Remember, you ever come across a product from back in the day, Nina, called Vocera?
Yes. They still use them.
I was the very first engineer. I thought it was so cool because it was like Star Trek. You press it and you could talk. I thought that was so cool.
Yes.
I took that job at a pay cut because I thought that was so cool. Like, oh my God, this is like Star Trek. But now we're starting to see less like Star Trek and more like what. But it's getting better. So there's not a doom and gloom about it because every time we talk about it, you do see places who understand and say, hey, this is that. And they're becoming more strategic with funding versus the places that they're spending funding. So it's coming. It's not at a pace that it should be. We have an alien populace that's coming, and we're not prepared. I'm one of them. Rod's one of them. Brody's not yet. Ray's on the cusp of it. So we'll see.
Well, what happened here? I'm only like a couple months older than Brody. How did I get?
Brody's like 30.
So this is a good segue. And I also want to iterate that I am not against healthcare. There are ways that we can make this better. There are choices also being made. There's 2 things. There's a concept from 2008 called patient-centered medical home. And it's very kin to aging in place, I think it's called now, where the patient is at the center and the care team is around them. And they ask the patient all the time, what do you want? What are you doing? What's your life like? So that we can acclimate and we can do the things for you. And as you said, there's an ailing generation. There's a lot of boomers, right? So we need to care for them in their houses. They don't want to move. People can't take care of them, whatever the situation is. So how do we create better technology so they can stay at home and they can be cared for and live their best lives? Not just live a life, live their best life.
Yeah. And across all industries, take a little advice. You don't have to fix the entirety of the problem. We have this mindset that we have to fix the entirety of the problem. You fix enough of the small underlying things, everything will get better. I remember for a time that the whole thing about healthcare was the infrastructure that was unreliable. And they got fixed because companies like Cisco, HP, startups came up and said, we can fix this. We'll just do N+1. We'll build your network alongside the one you already have. So when we cut over, you cut over. We promise you. And then the telecoms company got into it. But you have an infinite, huge problem now because data is everywhere. Nobody knows where it is. And you're talking about medical records. You start talking about companies who may not have an interest. And there's some monopoly a little bit. Epic seems to be the 2,000-pound gorilla in a lot of these things, right? And it's very hard to get the 2,000-pound gorilla to do nothing with what they want to do. And so it's difficult. But I think healthcare is on the verge of having some huge revelations about how they need to go.
So this is going to be the 4th industrial revolution for healthcare.
Yeah.
And it's got to move, right? Because we also are in competition with the rest of the world to ensure that our people, our humans, can continue working so that there is an economy so that we can still be wealthy, blah, 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 blah. So there's nothing but opportunity to do all these things. And I understand that I've talked a lot about the problems that are happening. There's a lot of opportunities. You said something before that like the CTO was the one that would do a lot of the changes in the technologies now. A lot of medical companies are doing these challenges where they will go to university, they will go to the high schools, they will go to the younger generation and be like, show us what you're working on. Here's more funding to go do more stuff. Because there's so much more cool things that the younger generations are doing because there's just they're invested. There's nothing that they can't do. So they're just building stuff.
It's amazing what our youth is capable of if you give them, if you don't bias the path. You get out of the way and let the path be the path. You lose some healthcare traditional providers because they go down this path instead of going to medical provider. They're like, I'm going to go this tech route because I think I can make more impact this way and affect the way that this doctor's taking care of my mom, my dad, my brother. And sometimes it's like, I never thought about technology or whatever else until it hit me. Now I understand it. It's a very, it's a challenge and an opportunity at the same time. But I think that HLS is still in a good place. And you said something. Look abroad. And I think Andrew put it in here. Look abroad at what they're doing. When you look at cybersecurity, I forget whether it was New Zealand somewhere, they were breached. The data was there. They said, we will not pay the ransom. And we're not going to pay to get access back. We'll do it right going forward. This is a lessons learned. And that should have been the standard. Like, we're going to take it on the head, but this won't happen again. And I think a lot of times people are not willing to do that. But you'll find that may be the pivot point that people go, we can't take this chance again. Let's do it right. And then you'll know who your allies are. Who's going to stand up? You got to do it like that.
But isn't there also a level of exhaustion that you get emails or watch a commercial or a piece of physical mail saying, got breached again. And now you just look at the mail and be like, okay.
Yeah,
and you just keep it moving.
When I'm filling out stuff, sometimes I put raw social security number on my stuff.
Who doesn't?
I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. Yeah.
No, you know, and then and the crazy part is we get really over the show. I'm watching body language. I'm just looking at Brody, and Brody's like, this is what I saw the neighbors have problems with. You know, my Canadian counterpart is looking at us like, Brody,
I want to have Nina back again because I want to ask about like representation and do you feel the pressure? Because like I look up to you and I think that it's a big deal, and I think it's also pathetic and sad that I think it's a big deal to have a Latina lead these initiatives and be the voice of an entire movement. Like, you know, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I want to pick your brain around that, and I think it's an important conversation.
I want you to know that I was told to go wash my hair before this because it was straighter. My sister, and she was like, no, because my hair is relatively curly when it's dry. And she was like, no, go show your curls. They need to know who you are. And I was like, all right. So this is my like somewhat post shower hair of random curls. But I'm like, I believe for the record, I am the only Latina that runs a village at DEF CON. So that is a big deal. And I get that a lot, that whole moment.
Well, and there's a whole perspective I don't think we've even talked about either, because you have, I believe, a lot to offer as far as, I think, wisdom for people who, and I don't want to say that we scared people away from healthcare.
As he leaves.
Right? Yeah. I don't think we want to say we scare people away from healthcare, but I think you have some wisdom to share with people that, you know, the things to look out for, but also maybe some mentorship for some folks that would be interested as well.
I'm invested. I love a good mentorship moment.
Yeah.
But everybody is a patient, right? And because today is the day before the voting for the Americans, every patient is also a voter. So like, you got to get out there and do the thing. I don't care which way you vote. Just do something. Make a decision on it.
Yeah. That yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who cares? But it's the act. It's showing that you're part of the thing, right? You want to be part of something. And you should be part of something. Not just us people that can't sit still. Yeah, not just us people that can't sit still and have to be doing something. That's not. We don't vote because that's us. You vote because you want to be part of something bigger than yourself.
So, Nina, it sounds like you are volunteering or you've been voluntold that when we have this theme month about cybersecurity and healthcare, we literally could talk about it a whole month and get everybody in.
Yeah.
You're going to be the moderator, right? You're going to be the person that's going to, because we're going to need some contacts to get people to come on.
Biohacking Village used to have a podcast, and I would I had a co-host, and I would just be like, hold on, we have to dive deeper into this. And I can talk for hours about this. This is my love, passion, and this is my demise moment. Yeah. I love this, but.
And when we come out there, you're going to give us VIP into your village?
You can be VIP into the village. I'm not getting you a badge.
I know, right? It was like, Edward, this
okay.
is not
Ray is.
Did you not hear the math in the beginning?
I did. I heard. Everybody doesn't have loan money like Ray.
Yeah, I don't have. Okay, listen.
Well, you save money by turning off your lights.
That is accurate, and also I only started traveling within a year because of my partner.
To save money on lights?
No, because I didn't have anyone to go with. It was just a really sad, depressing story. But here we are today, and I'm fabulous. You too can be fabulous.
I am the last one to talk about commitment. Everybody from the team is going to Ignite except for me.
Ray, we are going to change your life at Ignite. Brody's going to find you a boyfriend.
No, Lord, no, I'm going to try.
On that note, people.
Boyfriend. Oh Lord, I can't because of my mother.
Yeah, on that note, right there.
Let's all go to Ignite.
Nina, you are the guest of the show. You get to close it out however you want to do it. This has been.
It feels like a lot of pressure. Nobody told me this.
What?
No,
Maybe Ray can do it. She did so good with your bio.
Well, we're gonna have Nina back. Okay, this is just. It's not. Never again.
Let's have a cliffhanger then. How about a cliffhanger?
No, can I do something? Can I do something that's kind of cool? I don't have batteries, but I can show you cool stuff. Yeah. So when you go to, I know that's such a weird segue, right?
Super weird.
I love it. It's great.
So when you go to DEF CON, you get the DEF CON badge, right? Yes. The DEF CON badge is cool. But then the villages have their own badges too. And I try to make our badges very bio cyber tech. So I'm going to show you two badges, the one from this year and the one from last year. So our last year badge was a heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's an anatomical heart. It fits where your heart is and should be.
None of us have that, but we chug along.
Yeah, I have no heart.
Mine are always black. So in case you want
hey, turn it around. Let's see that. So you actually wear it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it has the thing here. But this lights up. So it was in a real, a cardiac rhythm. Yeah. So you could do this. And then in the back of it, there's a sensor. So you would put your thumb on it because your thumb is the only one that has a heartbeat to it. And it would take your heartbeat. So you could see. So when people were talking to me, I'd be like, can you just touch it? Ooh. And I'd be like, what? Are you okay? Do you need rest? What's going on?
So your thumb's the only finger that has a heart.
So the rest of your fingers.
Why do they tell you to wear this one on your? Why do they tell you to wear this bio ring on your?
The aura ring. Because
that's the Samsung ring, but yeah.
Oh. I don't know what the Samsung ring
does. I'm gonna have to.
Don't you work in Microsoft? Doesn't that feel like cheating?
What happened?
I'm a cheater.
Microsoft does not make a bio ring.
Yeah.
So this year's badge was an ambulance. So it's in commemoration of my dad. Yeah, and then wait, I messed it up. Hold on. I can function. There you go. So it lights up and it does something. So if you see the little shadow, that was my dad.
Oh,
so
that's
it
cool.
Does all the magic and stuff. And there's CTF challenges on here. And it's a big one, right? It's a thick.
I think I would get it. I think I'd have a seizure right away.
Anyway, that is the coolest swag.
But we're not done. We're not done because everything has secret stuff in it. So this is part of the CTF. And some parts of it, this is so much fun. Okay. See the hole?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So why do most people end up in the ambulance? What is usually the cause of the issue? People are drunk. You're right. Great answer.
I thought it was banana milk.
So we gave people little straws and you blow into it. And the back of it, it's a breathalyzer. Wow. And little known fact, every ambulance in real life has a Wi-Fi connection to it
Yeah.
because they need to connect to all of the things. So every single one of these had a Wi-Fi connection, and we were just messing with the knock.
Yeah.
So
now I know
nothing
what
but
to steal
opportunity.
during a zombie apocalypse.
Very cool. Very cool, Nina.
That is some of the coolest swag. That puts to shame these big companies that are still giving you pens and pencils.
I don't do pens and pencils for people. I'm very committed to what the swag looks like. But we've already started working on what the badge for this year will look like. So
Are you also
intense.
doing besides Puerto Rico this year?
I have not had a conversation with Arroyo yet. I don't know if he's doing it.
Okay.
I'm gonna go this time, Ray.
Okay.
Did you see the badges? I brought that one too. Did you see it?
Yes.
So it's the Taino sun, so the natives of the island.
Well, I know about it, but
I know.
Brody
And then this is the El Moro. Oh, I can't find anything. So this is El Moro, which is the fortaleza, the fortress at the end of the island in San Juan. But this went in the it did like this, like the flag in the wind.
Oh,
cool.
We got to get our swag game up here at the
Yes.
podcast.
If you ever need help,
yeah,
I
you can
love
be the executive director of the swag situation, and
So
also
I help design them, but I don't make them because I was like, I don't have
Yeah.
the time for it. So
no, your brain power.
Well, this has been super engaged to understand this, and because sometimes we come in, we just talk the tech and everything, and this is what the show is about. But we have to realize that we're no longer just technologists. If we can affect the business and the process, you gotta understand that they're not going to listen to you these days just because you're smart. They listen to you these days because you understand the mission and the business thing, and you got to do that. So if we come in and just talk zeros and ones, the bean counters will go. But if you come in and say, "Hey, this is how I'm going to make us better," either save, make, or not lose. Those are the three things in position of business. You make me save money, make money, or not lose money. And so saving money is not the same thing as not losing, right? And that's and when you can have that discussion, you can affect leadership, you can affect change, and you can affect people to be able to say, "You got a point. We do need to go ahead and make this initiative and get these systems updated." And now you have a champion, because sometimes the people that you're trying to help the most push back got gazillion friends, not that many, maybe 5 that are doctors. They are resistant to change. To the personality, no matter what they do, they are resistant to change. The stuff I got right now barely works. I don't want all this fancy stuff. And you saw it, and it was. I thought personally that the whole landscape of the medical industry was going to change about 10 years ago, or 12, when the cloud. I was like, this is going to change. This is going to change all the mindsets. And then I was so dumb to realize it's in the cloud. They're not going to do this. This is a data privacy thing. I'm like, but there's still a chance for it. There's still a chance that old paradigm of the cloud can still change a lot of medical places, and beyond just lift and shift, right? Modernizing apps where they containerize, where they're running.
I feel like you're starting this conversation all over again, because that's also a contractual issue.
Yeah, it's
in the United States.
It's a contractual. Yes, very much so.
Are we doing round 2? Because I got like 15 minutes. We can go.
Oh no, I'm good. I don't want no more smoke. I'm done with smoke.
Yeah.
That's for
next time. That's what you get for Puerto Rican from New York. You ready? This is double trouble, and I feel very honored to have you on the show, Nina, and I can't wait.
Does it work on this?
Yeah, I was about to do that. I've been doing this, but really, I just wanted to do this. Like,
I don't know if I can do that. Can I do that? I can't.
No, it's on iPhone.
Brody, can you do that?
Yeah, iOS.
I need a Mac.
I don't think I can either.
Yeah,
this is our Deadpool moment, but yeah.
I'm not that dexterous. Sorry.
I think
Brody is abstaining. Oh, Brody joined. Oh, we'll do it for Brody. Okay.
There you go. All right. I mean, thank you so much for coming on this call.
I have one more thing, and then I'll stop. This is like the mic drop moment. So the motto mission of Biohacking Village, which works as the closer for this, is healthier tech for healthier people. That's all I want.
Healthier tech for healthier people.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Healthier tech for healthier people. I get it. I'm going to be one of those people who are going to need that. And I'm not as old as Rod, but I'm getting there. If he slow down, I'll catch him. If he's ever going to slow down, I'll catch him.
Another 10 years, maybe.
Another 10 years. We'll see what happens, right? But, all right. We were talking about theme months. I've said it 4 times now. I think we need to probably have that conversation, but really have it deliberate. Not just the tech people.
Oh my God. I'm
whole
so
thing.
excited to hear what healthcare will tell Microsoft or not Microsoft.
Start up here and talk down from executives down to the worker bees and see what the difference in perspective is. Or start here and go up to the executives and go, what's the difference in perspective? Because people up here, like everybody's down here good, and down here they're like they don't give a damn about us.
We could have a celebrity death match. Have the execs and the worker bees just,
Celebrity thumb wrestling.
Yeah. Wrestling.
And we do it. God, this is a great conversation. So, well, as we close out the show on this day before the election in the United States of the America tomorrow, we'd like to thank everybody that came on and stayed the entirety. I can tell that you were in because the numbers went up and they stayed up the entirety of the show of our viewers. So thank you so much. This is really, really good. I like to hear from someone who's like, hey, I'm in the trenches on both sides of this, the tech and the business piece. And that makes sense. And we've got some great HLS individuals to come on.
And I'm a patient and a caretaker.
We need a round table or square table or octagon or whatever we may need to be.
Or the octagon.
The octagon. Fighting a kumata. So thanks everybody for listening to
Bloodsport. I know. Listen, I grew up on movies I should not have watched. Thanks, Dad. Here
I'll give you that. You're very much in the know about legacy movies and all this other stuff. Right? I would definitely take you to any trivia contest I'm going to go to. I'm going to win. We'll be back Monday, and we will continue this thing that we call cybersecurity education awareness and informative dialogue. We are a show of highly opinionated facts around here, and there you go. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next Monday. Have a good one. Peace.
Take care.
Welcome.